Well, welcome everyone. Thank you. We, as you all know, our theme tonight is gravity, and more than a few people have told me that we should have just skipped this event altogether because we will be covering it during the body parts reading. That's sad. I'm stealing because a lot of people have said that to me. Gravity has apparently proved to be a very difficult topic for a lot of people. I've had a lot of emails with people saying, I had a great idea, but... And so we had a lot of cancellations, but for all those cancellations, we still have a full roster of readers tonight. We have with us 4 readers who have never read something at one of these events before, which I think is terrific. We have 2 of our young writers with us tonight, Shane Lally and Austin Gardowski. And we have our musicians, the Sergents, Victor Letnoff and Scotty Raleigh, Kent Shote, who apparently wrote an original song for tonight, and Stuart Vining. All of that means that we are going to have an absolutely fantastic night. And what you all can do to make it even just that much better is the orange bucket. I'm sorry, I'm so out of ways to bring up the orange bucket. But I will say that at the end of the night, your $5 donation in the orange bucket, all joking aside, really does help the Writers Guild, and we appreciate it. So we are going to start our night in a slightly different way with a quote. And I'm going to have Lee Rousseau, one of our Writers Guild members, who we don't often get a chance to see, come up with her quote.
I just happened to mention to Kent and Mary Beth that I just have this 30-second quote, and I would love to share it with you. And Mary Beth said, oh, can we start with you? I said, oh, sure, wonderful. So, someday, after mastering winds, waves, tides, and gravity, we shall harness the energy of love. And for the second time in the history of man, we will have discovered fire.
And our first reader tonight is somebody who is reading here for the first time, and we are having Stephen Hayes, a Writers Guild member, go first, in part because we want to feature his first novel, Light on Dark Water, an ocean sailing venture entwined with an emotional return to Vietnam and the brutality of war. Stephen Hayes is going to read an excerpt from that tonight. Stephen.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. I'm new to this organization. The limit is 3,000 words. I thought I would try. The scene brought memories of midwinter hunting with my father on the bay's eastern shore. I was a boy then, learning the manly art of the kill, ducks and geese both. Hiding in a muted yellow-brown blind, we men and men-to-be used our quiet cunning and calls to lure the beautiful birds into our range. My father fancied himself a most artful and fluent in the language of the goose. He loved to press his black plastic collar between his lips and echo the throaty honks of an incoming gaggle. Slowly, cautiously, he would chit to their chat until the flapping wings spread motionless for the final descending glide to the cornfield before us. The birds had no idea of just how final that glide would be, at least for some. The quiet, the cunning, the calling would pay off. Pop would whisper, "Hold tight, hold, hold, now." We would spring upright, shoulder our double-gauge guns, train, aim, and fire. Later, we would eat the geese, but almost as an afterthought. It was all about the shot and the kill. I was a boy then, learning the manly sport of the hunt. I learned the kill, but only part of me learned to like it. A decade later, on muddy Asian river waters, I learned to kill again. This second time, it was different, more exciting, more profound. I liked the killing on the rivers more. At least I thought I did, until later, when the dreams and the anger came, until the feelings of manly pride bled into remorse and sadness. Geese fly, I thought, for two reasons and two reasons only: to feed and to escape danger. What sublime simplicity. Maybe they also fly, I thought, to savor the joy of soaring on the wind. But theirs, born by whatever impulse, was a life pure and uncomplicated. Would that my own life could be that straight and that true. For that moment, though, my head still arched and eyes still turned upward, I was carried to a place of peace. I loved watching the big geese fly, and I loved seeing them alive. Thank you.
I think Steve might have books for sale, but if not, you can find out all about them on our website. Our next reader is Anna Toyna, also a first-time reader.
This is a bit unusual, and I don't know that you'll have this again. I did not write this piece. This is serendipity. I had just read online that we were going to be doing gravity. And then I looked up on something else that came across my email, and there was a story about gravity. And I mentioned this to Mary Beth, and she said, well, you're filling in a gap for me, so it's going to work for both of us. Anyway, this was written by Scott Lederer of Philadelphia, and when I asked him for permission to share this with you, he said, go for it. Just let me know what they said. So, this is a story of the Kobayashi Maru I pulled in 9th grade Earth Science class circa 1988. It is among my finest accomplishments. There we sat, jean jackets and mullets, acne and ennui, begrudgingly studying the many spheres: biosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, whatever sphere. This day concerned a simpler sphere, a ball, and the effect of the Earth upon it. We were learning about gravity. The teacher, nice guy but stern, explained that thanks to the nature of gravity and potential and kinetic energy, a ball cannot bounce as high as the height from which it's dropped. You've seen this countless times. Each bounce has a successively lower apex until the thing peters out and comes to rest. As he explained this, a magnificent thought took shape in my mind. I was 14 with a chip on my shoulder. I didn't like rules. And here before me, all around me, was one big, fat whopper of a rule. An irrefutable, fundamental fact of the universe: gravity. I raised my hand and, with a casualness inversely proportional to the magnitude of my claim, said, I disagree. I think it can bounce higher. There were laughs, and the teacher wasn't having it. No, really, I said, I can do it. I'll bring a ball tomorrow and show you. Now, this is no story of magic or delusion. Physics is physics. I couldn't possibly alter the nature of gravity, but I could and did alter the operational definition of a ball. And so that night, I applied myself to the construction of the greatest ball ever made. The heart of it was a standard helium balloon around which I papier-mâchéd a sphere of newspaper. The balloon's tapered shape left a cavity inside the bottom of the sphere, within which I placed a raw egg as ballast, nesting it in a hole cut into the nadir of the sphere. When finished, it was a big, unwieldy, misshapen thing, a busted Death Star, yet also an audacious invention, an engineering marvel, and a brazen exercise in cheating. I was proud. Next day I stood before the class and held it aloft. No one knew anything of its innards. I must have looked clownish. The teacher was pure skepticism and annoyance. But there I stood, reveling in the virtue of defiance. I released it. I hadn't tested it, so I was going on faith. The weight of the egg took it down slowly, and I wondered if it would hit hard enough to crack that sucker open and release its yolky ballast. Slowly it sank. Long seconds went by, and finally, as gravity brought the thing to the ground, truth and the moment collided. It rested several moments as the egg leaked out, then tentatively began pulling away from its snotty deposit. Slowly it rose, trailing yolk and albumin. Quicker then, up past my knees, passing my chest, my head, up past as high as my hands could reach, up past the origin of its fall, up to the ceiling where it bounced, petered out, and finally came to rest. I don't remember the class's reaction, only the teacher's. He dismissed it outright. It didn't count. It was cheating. He was right. But he failed to learn the lessons taught in class that day, that ingenuity arises in the face of impossibility, that a thing is not always what it seems, that some things you can't change, but what you do with them is another story. And that when things fall down, bounce back higher however the hell you want to.
Ken Catterton.
Am I speaking loud enough? That's been a complaint from past. Yeah? Okay, good. I've gone to the dark side of gravity, which apparently a lot of people don't believe in, but it just happened. This is an excerpt, an abstract really, from a piece that I've been working on for about 20 years and I've never completed. And the piece is entitled My Brother's Only Brother. It was late. My friend, the undertaker, said I should feel free to stay as long as I wanted. He would remain asleep on the couch. Wake me when you're ready to go home. Finally, after the devastating Sunday morning phone call, and finally after watching my folks suffer from the untimely death of their first son, and finally after attempting to console his widow, and shocked, uncomprehending young daughters, and finally struggling with what felt like an unbearable burden, finally my brother and I could be alone. We talked for hours about what I can't recall. I think much of it was about good brothers talk. Some laughter about moments in our childhood, some recollections of our college days together, fond thoughts about his wife and girls, my wife, our parents, playing golf, bowling, playing cards, a late night swim, in the girls' pool with their wives, overeating, the military, our football days. And what the fuck is going on right now? Wait, I know what happened Saturday night. Severe indigestion, sweating, couldn't sleep, off to the hospital. Started feeling better. Wait was too long. Home again, up until 5 in the morning. Off to bed, fell asleep. Wife pounding on your chest. Ambulance, hospital, morgue. Why didn't you wait in the emergency room? I wish I had. Come home with me. I wish I could. You know, this isn't fair. I know it isn't. More questions, but no answers. Slowly, the seconds turned to minutes, minutes to hours. Slowly, the obvious became undeniable. Not understandable, not fair, certainly not comfortable, but final. The horror of the moment had passed. We agreed that death could not separate us. As long as one of us walked the earth, both of us would remain. As long as one we had loved remembered us, we would not disappear. The long night came to an end, and with it the start of a very long day. It was August 1974.
Also a first-time reader, and we were talking earlier, Diane Lane and I, and we were saying that one of the really great things about these events is that the range of stuff you hear, and in the first 3 readings we've already had such a range. But Diane Lane.
Goldfish stay in the bowl? Would a perfectly putted golf ball fall into a hole? Would the warm winter hats stay put on our heads? Would our bed sheets and covers stay down on our beds without gravity? Would airplanes take off and shoot far into space? Would our household items be floating all over the place? Would horses and runners and cars never race? Would makeup and lipstick even stick to your face without gravity? Flushing a toilet, blow drying your hair with everything weightless floating all through the air. It's hard to imagine what would you do. Well, someone would invent a new type of glue without gravity. But gravity is here on the earth. It's part of the plan, holding down everything the best that it can, keeping us planted and rooted and grounded. In fact, gravity has the whole world surrounded and affected by its centrifugal force. But not having it here would surely be worse. And while we are grateful, what we humans choose to do is to build ways to get off the ground and up into the blue. Building elevators, escalators, skyscrapers tall, airplanes and jets and rockets and all. But most of us are content to just go for the ride, while others insist to fly and defy gravity. These are the folks who jump with parachutes right out of planes, or climb the sides of mountains to heights that are insane. They find ways to soar, float, sail, and fly, and you thought drug users were the only ones to get high. And while gravity is anticipated, it is so much more appreciated to achieve the joy and the thrill of not having gravity kill the one who is on the mission without anyone else's permission to reach that special place, not a destination, but that space that defies gravity. Tom Boyer.
Okay. Bifocals and I can't see at any distance. Because of gravity, an object's weight determines the force with which it affects surrounding objects. You always have to take it into account. A person who has gravitas has character heavy enough to exert influence on surrounding people. Once upon a time, gravitas and bulk were more closely associated. At a time when a man of my size projected success, not excess. I was a chubby teenager in an era when the fat were assumed to be jolly. Doubtless the reason my father, after an infusion of non-sacramental wine, confided to me, "My boy, you have the body of an archbishop." I immediately had a Newtonian vision of the human apple, round, bejeweled, and robed in red. That image followed just as quickly by a picture of Henry VIII in all his rotund majesty, holding a scepter and acting as his own orb, Books brought other examples. Ishmael in Moby Dick describes the Pacific Island societies where the man with the greatest girth is the ruler, primitive gravitas. James T. Farrell brought the concept into my century, referring in Studs Lonigan to a prosperous man's paunch as an alderman. Dad knew better, of course. As an historian, he had already seen the era of palpable power drift into the direction of today's more streamlined gravitas. When Dad was a boy, President William Howard Taft had so much gravitas he wound up sitting on the Supreme Court. Increasingly, movers and shakers are expected to be able to project their gravitas from the saddle of a moving mountain bike, as with our last president, or while making a graceful layup on the court like our current one. Power and bulk are no longer allied. We've entered the age of the iPod and the iPhone. Archbishops are more sleek. I've missed my chance at greatness.
And now for a little music from the Sergents, Victor Letnoff and Scotty Raleigh.
All right, we're going to do an old Tommy Johnson song, a Big Road Blues. We're going to throw a verse in there because we grabbed it. This is this old blues at the back of the 1920s and right before the First World War. The stuff, the copyrights and all this stuff was, all the folk singers and stuff were kind of, it's you didn't have you weren't plagiarizing. You were a minstrel back then, so much. So but I'm doing it pretty traditional. Make sure we're in. Yeah, it's close enough for government work. No, that thing's little cheese out doesn't work out. I'm going down to the Atlantic Ocean and sit down on the ground. I'm going to the Atlantic Ocean and sit there on the ground. I'll let the waves of water wash all my troubles down. And going down that big road all by myself. And going down this big road all by myself. If I don't care my baby, I care somebody else. Sun gonna shine in my back door someday. Sun gonna shine in my back door someday. And the rain's gonna come and blow all these lonesome blues away. And I asked the Lord, which way does the river run? And I asked the Lord, which way does the river run? He said it runs right out my back door to the rising sun. Going down the Atlantic Ocean and sit down on the ground. I'll let waves of water wash all my troubles down.
And another first-time reader, Billy Criswell.
About gravity. I hate to go with the theme. It's not that funny. But my sister-in-law is home from Scotland. My father-in-law is manic. The holidays are upon us. The gravity, a weight on my chest. It's not because I'm unable to cope with the dysfunction of it all. It's the opposite. My family is classically the dysfunctional one. It can be hard to be the healthier one. Now we're all in a boat so filled with grave realities, because we're all the same. Whether it's me carrying the baggage of my family's divorces, addictions, and divisions, or whether I just want to describe my family as just as screwed up as the next or just as normal as the former, I'm correct. Either way, it's difficult. It encompasses a reality that seems to bear a weight so psychologically great that I'm not sure I can secure its passage to a place where I can deal with it. No, I can deal with it. I say to myself, oh, don't make a joke of it, which of course is my first inclination, and so I do. We all laugh together. When it was funny, it was easier. And in that moment, we pretended it didn't hurt. But the laugh was laced with a poison, seemingly sweet but with a bitter aftertaste, and despite ourselves, we tasted it. We recoiled subtly and then dutifully accepted the guise. Because we live in a society where we laugh at shame and dysfunction. We pretend we can bond over things we can't control, and maybe we're right. I don't grasp the gravity of it all, because gravity is not something we're taught to navigate. We aren't taught to pilot unwelcome social gravitas. We are only taught to live in its shadow or to pretend to bask in its false glory, whichever you prefer. Thank you. Steve Robeson.
Judy Garland, Audrey Hepburn, Lena Horne. I watched these women sing on YouTube. There was a light emanating from each of them. Stars, magnificence. And each time, in the auras surrounding them, I saw you. You are magnificent. You are utter and perfect beauty, and so much more. Beyond my highest expression, in a place that can only be approached, like the gravity of twin stars, holding their planets in orbit, like the molten rock spewing from a volcano, like the unspeakable joy of new parents, hearing their infants' first sounds. The words escape me. No. The words have never been held. The words are unconceived and inconceivable. And yet still, there is this unquenchable need in me to find the words that I know can never be found. I will write for you 100 songs and 1,000 poems, and I will spare none of what I am in a quest to find the words to express the gravity, the fullness, the wonder I feel when I think of you. I hope and pray that you will allow me to see deep within you, to know you, and to sing the song my heart must sing. Let me gaze into your eyes, let me gaze into your soul. I risk it all for a touch of your hand and a taste of your beauty, of perfection.
Joanne Sunstein.
Gravity is serious. It keeps everything on this planet from just floating away and away. Imagine the collisions. Gravity. What comes to mind are two old tired jokes. Gravity, it's not just a good idea, it's the law. Gravity, you get old and the parts of your body that used to stick out just slump now. Gravity also connotes something else that's very serious. My mother and my father's two sisters were so full of gravity, they rarely laughed. Think Grant Wood's American Gothic, and you see half of my relatives. So imagine my surprise when on Sunday I discovered an advertiser using gravity in a most unserious fashion. A little ad for Planters peanut butter in the Washington Post promises the most daring peanut butter ever attempted. Planters' new Nutrition Energy Mix. The ad shows the so-called granola gravity drop featuring Peanut Butter Doug, professional stunt nut. Mr. Peanut is about to release a large top containing cinnamon, raisins, granola, and nuts onto Peanut Butter Doug's head. God knows why, I certainly don't. However, as one blog about the copywriting industry noted, these slapstick violence actually makes sense for a change, since the product was actually made by crushing peanuts. You clamor for more information, don't you? Who is Peanut Butter Doug? A peanut who looks just like Mr. Peanut, except for a goatee and oversized sunglasses. I searched the internet for more peanut butter propaganda. Quote, just when you thought peanut butter couldn't get any tastier, we stuffed it with more delicious stuff. Made to satisfy your adventurous side, Planters Nutrition Cinnamon Raisin Granola Peanut Butter is the most daring peanut butter ever attempted. Do I dare? Do I dare?
Harriet Leisure.
For many years, I had a cartoon on the side of my refrigerator, and it showed a family with a bunch of lawn chairs sliding down a hill at a picnic. And the caption read, "The Earl B. Greavy family never did understand gravity." So gravity. I don't understand gravity. Some years ago, I went to the Moorhead Planetarium at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill to watch a film which reputedly would explain gravity to even the dullest of minds. It lasted about 40 minutes, and at the end of it, I looked at my 19-year-old son and said, "I still don't understand gravity. When I jump up in the air, how can I land in the same place I launched from if the Earth is moving?" He just laughed. Gravity. The other gravity is a little easier for me to comprehend. The word isn't derived from the same etymology as grave, as in dig my grave, but from either the French gravité, accent on the final E, meaning weighty, heavy, serious, or the Latin gravitatum, meaning the same thing. OED shows it was used prior to Newton's theory by writers referring to character as in weighty, serious individuals. Now, I'm a weighty individual, but am I serious? Because I'm weighty, do I attract people, pets, objects to me, or repel them? I guess that depends on whether these people think things are okay with weight. So it comes back to being a matter of subjective assessment. Maybe like gravity itself, how can I take it seriously when I know that I'm standing here, still, in this spot, reading this piece of paper to a room full of people, and neither they nor I am spinning out of control in an alternate universe. As the man said, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs, perhaps you don't understand the gravity of the situation.
Austin Gardowski.
When I was very young, someone in my life used to call me drama queen. This used to really bother me, and it has stuck with me all my life. But not too long ago, when I wrote this poem, I decided that I was going to take this name and turn it into something good. Yeah, she's right, I'm a drama queen because I'm a writer. So, here we go. Drama queen. Chestnut horse mane flowing from a sugar-sweet center, she named drama queen. Shining heavenly gold, doors to the soul, she named drama queen. Bursting of the sweetest fruit, others taking bites and crave more, she named drama queen. Mother Nature's mistress, Cupid's current and former victim, she named drama queen. Sandpaper, a shield, a silky velvet within, she named drama queen. Flies away when dark clouds roll in, but always carrying an umbrella, she named drama queen. Clouds are now past, sun shining bright, sinking into her pores, for she has faced off the darkness and has grasped the light that has always been rightfully hers. For she has survived, and now they call me the drama queen.
For a little more music, Kent Shoat.
Hi there. Tonight this song is called Gravity. Check. Yeah, so this is, actually I don't know what to say about this song. I wrote it, I was kind of feeling really stupid. Which is not that unusual. Aren't you glad it's not you hanging around, waiting by the phone? And aren't you glad it's not you hanging around all alone? And aren't you glad it's not you who made the call just a little too soon? And aren't you glad it's not you who thought she felt the same and went over the moon? Over the moon. I locked off a four-leaf clover looking for a sunny day. I locked off a four-leaf clover hoping you'd turn my way. And aren't you glad it's not you who lives in a place where nothing's going on? Spent your time just walking around, waiting for the dawn. And aren't you glad it's not you, full of doubt at each and every turn? And when the road finally straightens out, you still don't learn. You just don't learn. I lopped off a four-leaf clover looking for a sunny day. I lopped off a four-leaf clover hoping you'd turn my way. I lopped off a four-leaf clover looking for a sunny day. I lopped off a four-leaf clover hoping you'd turn my way. And aren't you glad it's not you who could have had it made, but you fell down and went boom? Aren't you glad it's not you who thought she felt the same and went over the over the moon, over the moon, over the moon.
Sabatino Maglione.
Buonasera. As you know, gravity has many definitions. I have chosen one of the closest synonyms to gravity, which is seriousness, because it's an integral part of our lives. It governs our lives, and many a times it deprives us of the beautiful natural things that surround us. And I try to express these feelings in my ode to gravity. Ah, yes, here you are, implacable, faithful companion, traveling with us along the trails and peaks of our life's journey, in perpetual oscillation between sanity and madness. In your vernal years, you succumb easily to the realm of dreams, yet those that sparkle in your elderly memory lane are passions incurred in the trajectory of later years. Your pursuance of love, registered romantically, platonically, erotically, with the temperance of innocent puerility. Your incessant drive for greed, nestled in the splendor of richness and fame, so that your friends and neighbors could finally know the stuff you're made of. Your obstinate ideology, which translates into a one-way street that leads to its usual final destination, a blind alley. Your indoctrinated religiosity that makes you fear a jealous God and believe in the mortality of the soul with the verification of a doubting Thomas. Your ever-growing knowledge that educates you to discover, the more you learn, the more you realize how empty the glass is. Your ideal profession metamorphoses you into an industrious ant, slave to eternal routines, eclipsed from the marvels of Mother Nature. Oh, muse of wisdom and seriousness, what else do you offer us self-searching creatures, slaves of the pressure of time and social habits? The gravity of situations that really matter? You mean the enjoyment of sunny days, walks on the beach, rainy days, winter snow, golden autumn days, and eternal spring? Because, yes, of course, the oscillation between sanity and madness is unfriendable. Isn't that what the gravity of life is all about? Thank you.
this poem by Sharon Aubrey, and the title of it was December 7th, 1941. And I was really fascinated with that title, but of course there's so much history, of course, on that date. But what fascinated me was it was about what was happening in Sharon's mother's world 3 months before Sharon was born. And I decided to go and Google what was happening 3 months before my daughter was born. And I was really surprised at how much was happening. Well, I shouldn't be surprised. It was the late 60s, so a lot was happening. So this is 3 months before my daughter was born. July 20th, 1969. Tonight, nestled on our olive green couch, bought with my JCPenney discount, we watch history walk across a new terrain. My husband's hands rest atop my moon belly. The baby beneath floats weightless in amniotic fluid, where there is no gravity, where sound is muffled, where there is no up or down. We've already painted the crib, hung lemon yellow curtains, and the poster with its single red flower, its prayer that war is not healthy for children or other living things. In a faraway jungle, a man we love, a man already chosen to be this child's godparent, tries to stay low as he moves forward. Reports all month. The president's withdrawal of troops, Chappaquiddick just 2 days earlier. News of Manson will drop in less than 3 weeks. Soon enough, those first stabs of pain, my baby's passage through the dark canal. For now, her bones are soft and pliable. She'll explore the perimeters of her known world, moving, swallowing. In the flickering light, we're just another young couple, leaning together, anticipating first steps that will be effortless and light in that thin air. I push aside my fears, the pain of birth, her journey, upside down, where once in this world, her heartbeat will slow to work like ours. So much gravity in this earth pressing us down.
The gravity of man's life, misadventures, begins 9 months after a reckless, passionate moment for your parents. They spend the first 2 years of their life teaching you to walk and talk, and spend the next 16 years telling you to sit down and shut up. You obviously, you're oblivious until you realize that you're not the center of the universe. Yet you continue to revel in the bliss of ignorance until it's your opportunity to have a reckless, passionate moment. Behind every successful man is his woman. So you seek a mate, invariably fail to see that behind the fall of every successful man is usually another woman. Life's value becomes greater as it fills with memories. Jokes about the old are funnier when you can identify with them. Old is when a man walks down the street with a bald head and a beer gut and still thinks he's God's gift. And when a sexy babe catches his fancy, nothing happens except his pacemaker opens the nearest garage door. far more conscious of gravity than men. But they can buy a solution that is uplifting and points in the right direction. Whereas there is little that a man can do. By the time he learns the rules of life, he's too old to play the game. As we wander through life's journey, we become weary of the miles traveled. You wish you could hear your wife say, "Let's go upstairs and make love." You know you're dreaming, because long ago, for her, it was too short and quick, and now she's grateful that she can't. For her, it was over. It may be hard, but you just have to handle it alone. We never really grow up. We only learn how to act in public. It's not uplifting knowing each day you have means you have one less day remaining. Carpe diem.
So we have two more readers for tonight. Our next reader is Rick Jarash.
Very amusing. Very good.
The first time I saw the insect beings floating silently in their glass orbs, I had been carefully treading over broken stubs of corn stalks on top of my grandfather's muddy field, trying hard to avoid holes where shadow people could have been hiding, or to put it better, trying to avoid holes that were shadow people. A shadow person, as everyone knows, is not like an ordinary person, but more like the absence of a person. While the body of an ordinary person is a thing in space, the body of a shadow person is the absence of space. The danger is that an ordinary person and a shadow person can both try to occupy the same place at the same time, causing mutual annihilation. If I hadn't been moving so slowly, I would not have noticed the flash of reflected light in the periphery of my vision. I would not have looked up and seen the three manus beings hovering over me in their translucent globes. I would never have obtained the secret of defying gravity. I knew I would forever remember every detail, the warm air moving over faded greens and ochres of drying vegetation in late afternoon light, the languid clouds gliding into one another, the intricate gold and palladium machines that the manus beings were working upon. They were concentrated in sad movements. One moment they were above me, in their vehicles, the next on the ground in front of me. I noticed their delicate exoskeletal limbs, like those of an overgrown praying mantis, saw the rough texture of their large iridescent eyes. The largest being, standing between the other two, fixed its gaze into mine. It said nothing. I could feel its thoughts moving inside my head, probing my mind, directing my movements. Suddenly, the ground was falling behind me.
And our last reader for tonight is Shane Lally.
Hi, everybody. Well, when I thought of gravity, I thought of falling for some reason. So, I wrote a story called Falling. I hate gravity. The words burst from my mouth like fire from a powder keg. With the release, my pain dwindles, but still makes its harsh presence on my back and elbows. I'm lying where I fell on the asphalt. My skateboard is rolled off, leaving me behind. It's smart to keep its distance, for I surely would have beaten it up by now. Instead, I punched the wooden ramp I just fell off, taunting me with curses. I ignored people passing by, who watched me with concern and hits his laughter. Everyone likes to comment on my violence on inanimate objects. I argue that's better than hurting a person. When I'm angry, I channel my rage towards whatever is nearby. Unfortunately, today, the object I choose is solid wood that threw back my blow, sending red-hot pain up my arm. I yell again. I sit down and take deep breaths, then look up to see Derek grinning at me from afar. More deep breaths. I search for a more forgiving victim to take whatever anger attacks he might provoke. Nice ollie, he laughs. You got pretty high in the air. Next time bring your board with you. He's always irritating like this. He's pretty full of himself because he thinks he's an awesome skateboarder. Though I'd never agree out loud, he's pretty good. However, it's moments like these that he uses to get under my skin, sarcastically pointing out my lack of skill, mocking me, knowing I won't hit him or yell back because I am too ashamed. A lot of what he says is the truth. By now, the tension inside of me has dwindled to a single dancing flame. Then it fades almost completely. Almost. I'm done for the day, I say, and go to fetch my skateboard. Not yet, man. You gotta try the half putt, says Derek. Great. Now he's backed me up into a corner. I can't decline his challenge without seeming like a wimp. My eyes wander across the skate park, where various different ramps stand waiting to make you airborne and break bones. At the back stands the half pipe, in the shade of the woods and swaying trees. Like an ocean wave, the ramp drops on one side to meet the other. There's no escaping this. Once you take off, you cannot make yourself stop. I dread the half pipe. I always knew that I'd have to face it. I'm not ready. Not today. Yet the next words run from my mouth unexpected. Okay, sure. I'm committed. Derek climbs to the top of the half pipe with me, and without hesitation he jumps on his board. He shoots down the pipe effortlessly and goes back up. Then he turns around and returns with speed and style. After going up and down a few times, he pulls out and grins, urging me to go. I step to the edge and look down, feeling my stomach roll. The drop is hopelessly steep. Before I can lose my nerve, I step onto my board and take off. Wind whipping my clothes, color flashing by, my heart standing still. Then the ground flies up to hit me in the face. On Monday, I walk into school on crutches. My teachers ask the same question. What happened to your foot? On one such equation, I glance up and catch Derek's eye. He's sitting in the corner, smirking. I fell in the shower. I lied.
Night without a song from Stuart Viney, and I am going to remind you before we go for the evening of that orange bucket. Thank you so much, Stuart Viney.
Okay, let the gravity open the wallets. I'm coming around.
Yeah.
The guilt.
Got a key change here. I was trying to come up with something to sing about. With gravity's a difficult topic with respect to songwriting. I was telling Mary Beth this about how tough it was. I said, Mary Beth, the things I'm thinking of are just insane. She said, don't worry, as long as it's you, nobody will notice. So in gravity, I was thinking about all the scientific stuff I've learned over the years. One of the things I learned was from one of the cooks at the corner cupboard inn that my family used to own. A black cook from Florida, his name was Bootsy. Bootsy learned this tidbit of information from another cook named Cherry. And Cherry learned it from the head cook whose name was Lee C. Green. Real nice guy. Lake Wales, Florida. And what Lee taught me had to do with cooking. It was a scientific fact. If you want your scrambled eggs to taste good, you put a little dollop of bacon grease about the size of a nickel in the pan before you cook the scrambled eggs. So I was telling Mary Beth about eggs cooked this way, and she rolled her nose up and down like a window shade. Mighty greasy egg. Until one time I was cooking eggs for her. She said, man, these eggs taste really good. How do you use this bacon grease? So when I was thinking of bacon grease, naturally it made me think about biscuits. And of course, when I was thinking of biscuits, the next thing that jumps into your mind is songwriting. Stay with me. So, it is true, biscuits and songwriting got a lot in common. Like biscuits, if you want a good biscuit, going up to Wawa, they make a pretty good biscuit up there. They really do. But if you go out and buy biscuits ready to eat, I mean, you become real conversant in biscuits, but it ain't. It's sort of like singing karaoke. Not that I know anything about karaoke, good singers and that kind of stuff, but buying ready-made biscuits is like singing karaoke. You don't really make any music. On the other end of the scale is homemade biscuits. I mean from scratch, like old-timey scratch, you know, where people would grow their own wheat, make their own flour. Got chickens running around the yard and a dairy cow out back for the milk and the butter. That kind of making biscuits. Now, I make my biscuits, and that's really the kind of thing, like when Kent writes a song, that's what he's doing. He's making biscuits from scratch. That's the real deal there. Anyway, I do mine when I don't write a song. What I do is, I do it in the middle. It's sort of like the way I make biscuits. I go to the grocery store and I buy a box of Biscuit and the milk and the butter and the eggs. And when I bring it home, and the recipe calls for a little bit of cooking oil, I do like in the old days. They didn't have cooking oil in the old days. In the old days, they had lard. And where do you get lard? You render it down from the fat from the pig you slaughtered last fall. Bacon grease. It's perfect. So you put a little dollop of cooking oil in the rest of the bacon grease, and you got some real good biscuits. It's true. Anyway. So that's the way I do songs. If it's a song I didn't write, then I put my own bacon grease in it, like with the biscuits. Anyway, and that's what this song is. It's a song I didn't write. This song was written by a guy named Shaver, and he wrote it about 30 years ago. And you may be wondering what is the deal here with, I know Mary Beth's wondering, how in the hell is Stuart going to get from scrambled eggs to gravity? It's about the song. Even though I didn't write the song, I put my bacon grease in it. The song is about diamonds. And as we all know, diamonds come from a chunk of coal. You put it in the earth, buried for a few million years with lots of pressure, and it turns into a diamond every time. And we all know from our 8th grade science class where the pressure in the earth comes from. Gravity. So diamonds come from gravity. To my way of thinking, it's just elementary math. You learn this. You just take bacon grease and scrambled eggs and biscuits, you add that up. You divide it by songwriting, multiply it times diamonds, and you get gravity. Here's a song about diamonds. I'm just an old chunk of coal, but I'm gonna be a diamond someday. I'm gonna grow and glow till I'm so blue perfect, put a smile on everybody's face. I'm gonna kneel and pray every day, lest I become vain along the way. I'm just an old chunk of coal, but I'm gonna be a diamond someday. I'm gonna find the perfect words to talk. I'm gonna search and find a better way to walk. I'm gonna smooth all my rough edges down till I'm just flaw-free. I'm gonna be the world's best friend. I'm gonna go around shaking everybody's hand. I'm gonna be the cotton-picking rage of the age, 'cause I'm gonna be a diamond someday. I'm gonna have my own Hall of Fame, all the pretty girls calling out my name. I'm just an old chunk of coal, but I'm gonna be a diamond someday. I'm just an old chunk of coal, and I'm gonna be a diamond someday.
I can't wait to see what Stuart does with body parts next week.